We've reached the midway point of the 2012 season and we're at Snetterton in Norfolk. You can see behind me with the clouds, well, the weather cannot make up its mind, but we have got some fantastic racing on offer as ever. Welcome to ThundersportGB. The Morello Services Thundersport GP1 class ready to race here at Snetterton for round 5 of the championships, a class which includes power bikes effectively up against super stock machinery. There's number 30 on pole, the Kawasaki of Ian Mackman, last year's super stock 1000 champion on a GP1 bike. Next up on the grid, number 19 there, that's Mike Dickinson on the AL Joinery BMW. Ross Connolly, number 28, a super stock rider, the Carlton Autos BMW in third, and Pete Baker, 2009 champion, sponsored by Morello Services on the Suzuki, running well. He's been coming into some form recently, had a fine result at Alton Park just a few weeks ago, and due to the fact that Phil Crow, the 2010 champion and last year's runner-up, got injured here yesterday, he won't be out on circuit, so there's some big points on offer for Pete Baker. Just on the inside there. What a start that was from Peter Baker as well. The lights went out. He was electric off the line and he gets the whole shot. Pete Baker, number 4 there, the blue and white Morello Services Suzuki into turn 1. That fluorescent yellow machine there is number 21, Chris Barnes on the AP Broom Racing BMW. He's a super stock rider. And as they come into Montreal, that's Alex Heaton on the orange, white and purple Night Road Racing Ducati. He's been going really well here at Snetterton, was following the lines of Mike Dickinson, and unfortunately Mike showed him a bit too much. He out-qualified him on Saturday before the Superpole race. A tip into Brundle and then Nelson. The riders all filter through. You're focusing there, that green and black machine is Callum O'Shea. Oh, what a bit of a wobble. An out of seat moment as they come out of Nelson, and that looked like it's Kevin Davies, number 63, that was out of the chair. Did well to stay on it as they make their way around Coram Curve. Obviously wet tyres and all of these machines. But the guys at the front are on GP1, so much more power available. And look at the lead at the end of lap 1 that Pete Baker's got ahead of the Night Road Racing Ducati of Alex Heaton. He's also sponsored by Holroyd Tyre Warmers. There's number 11, Ben Scranage on the Small Boy Track Bikes Honda, just behind Chris Barnes and Ian Mackman on the Kawasaki, sorry, for this year. So used to seeing him on a Suzuki last year, moves up ahead of Alex Heaton. In fact, the Suzuki that Ian won the Superstock Championship on last year is being ridden in this race by number 7, Adam Robinson, who bought the bike off him at the end of the year. But look at this, 1.5 laps gone. Peter Baker, who's got about a 4 or 5 second lead, really is as fit as we've ever seen him. Pete Baker, into his 50s, but loves his racing and has led championship racing like this for as long as I can remember now. Ian Mackman there in 2nd, Alex Heaton 3rd, Dickinson 4th, Chris Barnes now up to 5th ahead of Ben Scranage. It's a good effort here from number 21, Chris Barnes, as they tip into Coram Curve. So Ross Connolly obviously didn't get off to the best of starts from the front row. Into Murray's they go, onto the start-finish straight. And someone needs to do something about catching Peter Baker at the front of this one. He is going to leave Snetterton, his home circuit, as championship leader before we head into Rockingham at this rate. And having got past Alex Heaton, maybe this is the man that can do it. Ian Mackman in 2nd place ahead of the Ducati there of Alex Heaton. Chris Barnes there, just losing out on 4th place. Here is Pete again. rider that came into the championship and won it in 2009, was then pipped to the post by Phil Crowe in 2010, and last year he had a chance of winning it with a couple of rounds to go, but the penultimate round of the season just didn't really go to plan, and in the end Pete ended up 4th place, and I would imagine that's why he's got the number 4 on his bike for this season, looking for revenge. He picked up a few wins towards the end of last season. He was consistent at the start of 2012, and then realistically from Alton Park onwards he has been shining bright and is picking up a lot of points as reward. Onto the start-finish straight he goes. He'll be showed some pit signals, I'm sure, by Steve on pit wall. And another lap goes by for Baker. He'll have done thousands of laps around Snetterton. There's Ian Mackman, fresh from his duties at the TT circuit, in 2nd place. Heaton still in 3rd, the leading Superstock rider. Then it's Mike Dickinson on the AL Joinery BMW. Oh, a massive moment there on the exit of Ritchie's for one of the riders a bit further down. There is 74, Jimmy Nixon, the AP Broom Honda. Just inside the points overall at the moment is Jimmy, Superstock rider. But Pete Baker, there's just no stopping him. And I think with the news that Phil Crowe isn't going to be scoring any points here today, will really hurt Phil into this round we came, and Phil only had a 14-point advantage, and that will have completely disappeared. And by the time we get to Rockingham, and that's providing Phil Crowe is fit for Rockingham, he'll have some catching up to do as the 2009 champion looks to wrap up another title to add to the long list of other titles that he's achieved in the last 15 years. Dickinson goes through ahead of Barnes. There's Ben Scranage again, number 11. Further behind there, you've got John Blundell, 177, lapping reasonably well on Bongo, the Bates car and commercial Honda. But you're looking at the small boy track bikes Honda of Ben Scranage there, just inside the top 6. Still at the front, Pete Baker leads. He's put a lap on James Boswell on the Kawasaki with the orange vest on. He's getting to grips with the GP1 class and the wet at Snetterton, I would imagine. Mackman has just broken away from Alex Heaton now, who's in 3rd ahead of Mike Dickinson. Then it's Barnes, Scranage, and then is that Ross Connolly that's managed to get himself up a place or two. Yes, it is. Ross Connolly just up ahead of number 3, Adrian Clark, the rider from Inverness on the Bob Henderson Racing Honda. So Connolly trying to regroup after not the greatest of starts. Number 45, Steve McMillan, goes through just ahead of Peter Baker. And there's your 2nd place man, Ian Mackman. Ian Mackman, you know, with a decent amount of points taken away from Rockingham, will be catching Phil Crowe overall with no Dan Hegarty here and no John Ingram. Ian Mackman is going to go up to 3rd place overall. There goes Callum O'Shea, number 96, with that Shinji Nakano replica helmet. And there is Ian Mackman's old bike. That's Adam Robinson, Robbo Racing. A rider that started out in the Super Teens, then on a GP125, but his height just didn't go well with the 125 GP. Was on a Super Stock Triumph last year, and on the odd occasion really did look hot stuff. He took a win and was in it for the championship, and then so much bad luck. Well, this year he's a baptism of fire, to say the least. He's jumped on board Macca's Suzuki, as you look at Ben Scranage going through the bomb hole and up towards Coram Curve, just ahead of Chris Barnes there. Barnes got the inside line into Coram, but doesn't attempt to move this time. That's a battle for the podium, and that's Brian Greenfield, number 34, Dangerous Brian. Let's sit back and enjoy some onboard footage. More than a few falls in the last 2 or 3 years. Hopefully Dangerous Brian is okay there on the exit of Nelson. He looked like he's going to have a bit of a limp on there as Pete Baker goes through to complete another lap. this is really close now between Heaton, Dickinson, Scranage and Chris Barnes. This is for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th overall, and for the top 3 places on the Superstock podium. Superstock Championship currently led by Ben Scranage. He's got quite a lead, in fact 77 points before Snetterton ahead of Chris Barnes, and Heaton was a further 9 behind. Yellow flags waving due to that incident of Brian Greenfield earlier. Let's see if they've managed to clear that away. They have, so well done to the men and women in orange. As ever here at Snetterton, Mike Dickinson has just snuck ahead of Alex Heaton for 3rd place overall, but Heaton remains the Superstock 1000 leader. There's just no one coming close though to Peter Baker, a 120.5 that time around. Let's wait and see what Ian Mackman can get, as you see Steve Foster just going through there. Mackman, in fact, into the 119, so he's put in a quicker lap, so Mackman just getting to grips with the wet surface, but he is quite some way behind Pete Baker at the moment. I can't see that result changing unless Pete makes a mistake. Still Dickinson has the advantage. There's Callum O'Shea in number 195. That's Robert Cadiz. Robert is as fresh as they come in terms of being a newcomer and has got a bit of a wild riding style. Was playing Buckaroo with his Honda yesterday during qualifying. It's lit up the eyes of Ian Popplewell from the side of the circuit, who was screaming with excitement at how wild Cadiz was, but he's just getting to grips with things. Oh, and that's a rider down over there, and that is Cadiz. Well, commentator's curse or not, Cadiz goes down. Nice to see the rider getting up. My, he was travelling into there with some speed, wasn't he? He helps the marshals, good lad, with the bike as he pushes, they all push it back to the side, but Cadiz goes down. And with the last lap flag out, Peter Baker's just got to try and cruise home now. That gap has certainly come down a bit. Ian Mackman in 2nd place there, but Pete Baker will know that he's got quite a few seconds to play with. This is the fight that we want to see, as Alex Heaton up the inside of Mike Dickinson. Now, he didn't actually effectively need to do that because Dickinson is in a separate championship, but more importantly, he's put some air between himself and Ben Scranage, who's fighting for Superstock glory. There is number 45, Steve McMillan, just being overtaken by number 96, Callum O'Shea. Callum's on for a top 5 finish here. Manx Racing rider on the Honda in Kawasaki colours. But Pete Baker here, the rain falling down again now as Pete Baker heads around Coram Curve, and he'll just gently roll off the throttle as he enters Murray's. Doesn't want to run into any mistakes now. Ian Mackman is going to take 2nd place, and as Pete Baker makes his way onto the centre straight for the final time, he takes 25 points and will be the championship leader as we head into Rockingham in a couple of weeks' time. Ian Mackman confirmed 2nd place across the line, and Alex Heaton delighted. A brilliant result, 3rd overall, and the winner of the Superstock 1000 class. Mike Dickinson collects 4th place, and it's going to be Ben Scranage across the line in 5th to be 2nd of the Superstocks. And I believe Chris Barnes has got in there just a couple of tenths of a second behind Scranage on the line. Connolly 7th, Adrian Clark 8th, but a good win there as Pete Baker is congratulated by Ian Mackman. Baker wins it then, 2.8 seconds clear of Mackman. Heaton wins the Superstocks ahead of Dickinson, Scranage and Chris Barnes. There is Heaton, Scranage on the left and Barnes on the right. And the GP1, Baker from Mackman and Dickinson.
Morello Services, Superstock 1000 here at Snetterton. Tricky conditions. Great win, Alex.
Yeah, it makes change for me winning in a wet, because I'm not normally that good in it. But yeah, we've got the bike set up pretty good, thanks to Chris Moore, doing my suspension again. Yeah, so it's been a good day so far.
Well, you had a good day yesterday, and of course you got pole position, didn't you?
Yeah, I was amazed with the pole, because Ducatis are renowned for not being the fastest. And yeah, I managed to get a double slipstream on my fastest lap coming over the line, so yeah, I was well chuffed with that. A bit annoyed with how I did in the race, because I didn't have any money to put any new tyres on, so I was only on scrubs. So by half distance, I'd lost all my grip.
Oh well, never mind. Because of the mega lap system, you didn't get pole for today. But anyway, who do you want to thank?
I'd like to thank Alan and Charlotte Knight for doing all the hard work that they do. Design Course for supplying my brake pads and everything. Oxford Products, Premier Helmets, Motoretta. I'd like to thank Mike Dickinson for buying me a front tyre and Alan for buying me a rear for today.
Brilliant. Well done, Alex.
Thank you very much.
Well, Pete Baker, welcome home. Thanks for coming all this way, all the way from Norfolk to Norfolk.
Yeah, it's just at the end of my garden. No, not really. We're a half-hour away, but obviously it's seen to be my local track. Been coming here for years and enjoying riding around here for years, so I did feel quite at home. We've had any number of wet races over the years here, and yeah, I think I know some bits.
Well, to be honest, you were going really well, and you got into a fantastic rhythm there, and there was really no catching you, wasn't there?
No, I was determined to get off at the start and get clear of the squabbling, keep the visor clear, sort of see where I was going. I thought, well, I'll try and do sort of 3 or 4 of my sort of like best laps that I could put together and see what happens on the pit board. And Steve was saying bigger and bigger gap, and in the end I think he was panicking a little bit because he's putting some really big numbers on there. I can't be that far ahead, but I sort of settled into a nice rhythm, and then with a few laps to go just was extra careful on some of the tighter corners, but no, bike went really well. The old Morello Suzuki still got some speed down the straights.
Who else do you want to thank, mate?
Yeah, I mean, Steve from Morello's been with me from day one, really. Tony Stannard's here today, helping and watching and supports us. We've got Red Cat Hotel, Peter here as well. So being the local track, the people that help me are actually here to witness us going well, which is fantastic, you know.
Well done, Pete. I'm really pleased for you.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Moped, sports bikes, you save watts. Any bike, it makes no odds. We will give you what you need. Best price always guaranteed. Come to us and get a quote. You'll be singing note for note. Walk away with cash to spend on anything you want, my friend. Bike Insurer, Bike Insurer, Bike Insurer.
Get the cheapest bike insurance, guaranteed, only from the Bike Insurer.
Welcome to Snetterton then in Norfolk for Thundersport GB. We are just at the halfway point of the season. Points and prizes come to mind. We've had rain this morning, the sun has broken out, we've had thunderstorms. But first up onto the grid here in this 1-hour show on Motors TV, the Morello Services GP1 class, the big boys, the power bikes effectively. We have GP1 machines and Super Stock thousands out there. Pole position for Ian Mackman on the Kemtal Kawasaki next to the South African rider Mike Dickinson. There is number 28, Ross Connolly in 3rd, and Pete Baker, number 4 in 4th place. Now, coming into this event, Phil Crow led the championship, but unfortunately had a crash here at Snet and cannot take part in this race. Hopefully he'll be back with us for the next round at Rockingham, but into turn 1 at Ritchie's, it looked like Ian Mackman front pole held on to it as they make their way out of Ritchie's and down into Montreal. This is the first change of the Snetterton 200 circuit that we're at here for Thundersport GB. It's sort of like a hairpin and then a flick left onto the Bentley straight. Down then into what used to be the S's, but is now Brundle and Nelson, and Mike Dickinson has got himself out front. Then up towards the bumhole. Mike Dickinson has done endless laps around Snetterton in endurance racing, so he knows a thing or two about Snet. In fact, he was teaching some lines and helping out Alex Heaton on the night road racing Ducati during qualifying, only for Alex on Saturday to out-qualify him. I'm sure that went down well. but it is Mike Dickinson that leads. Mike has been climbing the points tables in recent weeks, and there he is, number 19, leading into Richie's corner ahead of Ian Mackman. And there's Peter Baker, number 4. The older he gets, the fitter he gets, it seems, and still able to get some wins. Number 4, that's because he was 4th in the championship last year behind Mick Robertson, Phil Crowe and Ian Mackman. Ian Mackman back after his TT exploits. Nice to see him back and safe and sound in the saddle here at Snet. Mike Dickinson it is that still leads in the GP1 class ahead of Ian Mackman and Peter Baker. These 3 riders all scoring GP1 points only. Further back in the Superstock class, you'll probably see the likes of Ross Connolly fighting it out with Alex Heaton on the Ducati, Chris Barnes, Ben Scranage, John Blundell, Adam Robinson, etc. Brian Greenfield is back with us this weekend as well. Number 34, Brian from Ipswich on the DB Racing Honda. Always nice to see Brian. Known to us as Dangerous Brian for obvious reasons. He's probably crashed more races than he's finished, bless him. Into turn 1 comes Mike Dickinson though, and he's being shadowed by Ian Mackman, who looks quite comfortable in 2nd place. There's the battle further behind for Superstock supremacy, being led by Ian Mackman, and then you've got there, that's number 96, Callum O'Shea, a former Superstock and Supersport runner in Thundersport, but this year out on the 1000 Kawasaki. Back at the front though, these 3 now peeling away from the rest of the field, and Peter Baker has moved up to 2nd ahead of Ian Mackman, who's just dropped back by a couple of tenths, and Peter Baker now going to try and make a move as he into the changed Murray left-hander. Used to be Russell Chicane, of course, but now they've made Corum's a little bit tighter, perhaps safer in some ways. And then into the left-hander onto the centre straight. Back into the double apex right-hander here at Richie's corner. Mike Dickinson leads, but Peter Baker pulls alongside him and looks like he was thinking about a move up into Montreal. The great thing about this corner is not only does it mean that we have better overtaking opportunities here at Snetterton 200, but it also just closes the field up that little bit more. Then it's down the Bentley straight. Oh, and Mike Dickinson's run on there. It's a good job there is a run-off. It's often been said that if you don't use it once or twice in your career, then you're not trying hard enough. But Mike Dickinson here, he has rejoined, but he's rejoined in 3rd. He was the race leader. That now promotes Peter Baker up into 1st place. And Pete Baker could well end up leading the championship by the end of this weekend as we head into Rockingham, with Phil Crowe not scoring points. There's no Dan Hegarty here. John Ingram's not here either. This is working out nicely for the local rider, Peter Baker from West Winch. Morello Services sponsor, of course, him and the class itself. Into turn 1 they go, and it's the Kemtal Kawasaki of Ian Mackman in 2nd place. His old Suzuki is being ridden by Adam Robinson further down the field. There is Alex Heaton, the purple and orange Night Road Racing Ducati. He's currently fighting off the advances of Chris Barnes, Adrian Clark and Ben Scranage. But this is the battle for the race win overall, and Peter Baker can't quite shrug off Ian Mackman just yet. On that last lap, they both did laps of 1:11.46 for Baker, 1:11.44 for Ian Mackman. Lap records will be set this weekend because ThundersportGB, despite having travelled to Snetterton every year since the start of the championships back in 2008, never ridden around this changed Snetterton 200 circuit. Another lap is ticked off, and Mackman just nudges his nose to the inside line, thinks about, there's Mike Dickinson still in 3rd, and Alex Heaton's closing in now. Slight change to the colour of that Ducati for this round. Alan and Charlotte have been busy painting the Ducati, and I must admit, expecting that Ducati to run quite as well as it has done round here. There is number 34, Brian Greenfield, and then further behind Brian, you've got Colin Thompson. Number 280 is Stephen Foster, 45 is Steve McMillan. These riders with orange vests on, it's their 1st season in motorcycle racing, and now as the riders head out of the bomb hole and into Coram Curve. Ian Mackman looks hungrier than ever to get past Pete Baker. It's just about trying to find a spot to do it as they come up to some traffic. Along the start-finish straight they go now in the GP1 class, and they see the last lap flag, and maybe it's time to make a move for Ian Mackman. He's late on the brakes and he pulls up into the inside into Ritchie's. It's a double apex right-hander, so he should be able to straighten that out and still lead. Oh, but he runs wide and almost on the muck. Surely that gives the advantage to Peter Baker here on that last lap, but Pete Baker runs wide and it might just work out for him. Ian Mackman's going to be quicker on the power, and he gets the drive onto the Bentley straight. Coming up to some more traffic now. Baker takes a defensive line into Brundle and then into Nelson, and there's really only one more chance for Ian Mackman. Has he left it too late though? Very fast into the bomb hole is Peter Baker on the Morello Services Suzuki, being shadowed by the Kemptar Kawasaki of Ian Mackman. And as they go around Coram Curve, last chance is into Murray's, but he's not close enough. Ian Mackman is not close enough to make the move. And as they go on to the start-finish straight, Peter Baker is going to win the Morello Services GP1 class and will be the championship leader heading into Rockingham. Ian Mackman finishes second. That won't do his championship chances any harm either, with a lovely 20 points. And after running straight on whilst leading, Mike Dickinson will collect third place ahead of Alex Heaton, who wins the Super Stock 1000 class ahead of Chris Barnes, and Adrian Clark finishes in sixth. The winner then, Peter Baker in the centre with Mackman to the left and Dickinson on the right. And the Super Stockers, Heaton wins from Barnes and Ben Scranage. GP1 standings then, it is Baker. Look at that lead he's got now over Phil Crow, with Mackman in third ahead of Dickinson, Hegarty and John Ingram sixth.
Morello Services Superstock 1000, Alex Heaton. What a great day.
Yeah, it's been a good day. It's been a lot better than Alton, where my bike naffed up on the last lap on the last corner. Yeah, so hopefully got a bit more points back. So I think I'm in second now in the championship, so it's only quite a bit to bridge the gap, but we're there or thereabouts.
I see you had a nice shiny set of brand new tyres on there.
Yeah, so massive thanks to Mike Dickinson and Alan Knight for buying me an early 21st birthday present. Without them, I wouldn't have been I would have been nowhere.
Anyone else you want to thank, Lee?
Yeah, I'd like to thank again Alan and Charlotte, Mum and Dad, Louise for doing my brolly dolly to get me some money, Chris Moore, yeah, and yeah, that's about it, I think.
Good lad, well done, Alex.
Thank you.
Pete Baker, local boy, Thundersport GP1 from Morello Services, sponsored yourself by Morello Services. Great race. Ian Mackman, to be fair, pushed you, like the same as you were pushed at Alton, really.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he was there. I think the second lap I was sort of back in third. But once we got through to the front, Ian was with me all the time. I could hear him every corner, sort of thing. And I just tried to keep calm, keep relaxed, and try and save a little bit for the end. But when it actually came to sort of like coming to the last lap, we had a back marker we passed coming onto the start and finish straight, which gave me sort of not such a good run down the start and finish, and I thought he's going to come by, and I got almost to Rich's and I hadn't seen him. I thought, we might be all right, but he come diving through, and then it was side by side into Montreal, the second corner. That was really close, so it was very enjoyable, and I'm just loving being up here 3 times in a row this weekend. Wow.
Fantastic, particularly with it being your home circuit. Who do you want to thank, mate?
Steve, obviously from Morello, sponsored me for a long while, provided me with a fantastic bike. Tony's here helping me, Red Cat Hotel, May Construction, Southern Mastic Roofing. They couldn't be here this weekend, but they've come up from Kent, sort of thing. He's helped me for a number of years as well. There's loads of others and I can't think who they all are, and I'm very sorry, but thanks for helping me to be here.
A win on home turf can't be bad. As the marshals wait for the next race, so will we. We'll be back after this short break.